It's hard to be inside when it's as beautiful outside as it is. It's a little overcast today, but the temperature is cool in the mid-60s and the flowers are blooming. You can see the horse chestnut tree and the irises in the walkway and the rose bush. And my neighbor's starting to do something in the yard. But the window boxes are planted and they're beginning to bloom. And I thought you'd enjoy a walk through our shade garden at the Stone Cottage. Now, coming from this angle, the horse chestnut tree really does obscure the house, but it's a beautiful walk up to the house beneath the horse chestnut tree. The rose bushes are beginning to bloom. Just look beautiful. And our pots here with the petunias and the plectranthus and the coleus. And the purple here is spiderwort. And coming underneath, there's a little bit of the allium left, but not much. It's one of my favorite things is the beautiful lupin that's starting to bloom now. Got one nice big spire. There are like maybe 7 spires that will come on kind of in succession. But one of my favorite flowers. And further down, a little bit of the Spanish bluebells left. This is the columbine blooming. And the rose, the climbing rose is beginning to bloom. Loads and loads of buds, so they'll open up in the next few days. Look even more spectacular. There's some little bit of red left on the azalea, but the mountain laurel, those blooms are getting a little bit bigger. This is the mountain laurel up close. It's just such an interesting plant. Right now, let's see if I can get it to focus. I don't know how well it'll focus, but they're these funny little, let's see if I can get that to, funny little, I don't know what kind of objects those are, but they're gonna open up. But they create these little balloons, and right now they're kind of pointy looking. And here's the side of the house. Very much a shade garden. Back there, the ferns are getting big, and the hostas and the ivy. Turning around is the little wildflower here, and more spiderwort. And here the iris is kind of a pale iris, and the rose bush blooming. It's a pretty color. It starts off kind of peachy, and then as it opens up, it becomes more pink, and the older they are, the paler they get. And a little clematis underneath the horse chestnut. And I have forgotten the name of this bulb. I will put the name on the screen. But those are interesting. The flower doesn't last very long, but they are interesting. And our spiderwort comes in as more of a magenta color and purple. Up through here. And there's the lupin again. On the left-hand side, that is the hardy geranium, which I think the color works nicely with the lupin and the Spanish bluebells. Give you a little closer view of our window boxes in yellow and pink, and I'll insert a little view from the inside so you can see it from the top. And as those grow, they will begin to cascade over the edge. And walk down the path. And the pencil holly, the hostas underneath. It's the meadow rue right here in front of me, and back behind that is the oak leaf hydrangea. Both of those are getting ready to bloom, very, very close. It's the acanthus bush. And that little bit of pulmonaria, the spotty leaves look pretty. I do need to get in there and pull out some spent leaves from the bulbs that have been blooming. Now I have been potting up my baskets. And you notice my cushions are put away because it is actually raining right now, so my cushions are away. But this is the single New Guinea impatiens, and they had like 8 of them for $25 at Costco, and they were nice big plants. I put them each in just one per basket, and they're gonna get really nice and big. And some kalanchoe that I just break off and stick in the ground. More spiderwort. Some people consider it a weed, but I like it. And after it blooms, what I'll do is cut it back, and then it'll rebloom. And I have put our dining table on the deck, and more of the impatiens, the New Guinea impatiens here. And the color is virtually identical to what's in that azalea bush. So I have 2 hanging up off the old clothesline. That's what that was, is the clothesline. It's an old house. And then another one hanging down off the side here. I have staked my monk's hood, and it will get that tall. So I have to start off with big stakes so that they can grow around it, because it will get floppy if I don't stake it. And beneath that I have 2 containers that I have planted some elephant ears in, and they will be tall enough that they will show from the deck, go up above the deck. And here's the heuchera, the coral bells. This must be the color they were talking about when they named it coral bells. From the deck, you can see the bird bath, and I love the sound of the water. And I have two ferns. Those ferns are good 3 or 4 years old, maybe older. And those are the very same ferns. They stay green during the winter. I think these are autumn ferns. But I put them under the fountain because it splashes on them, and they absolutely love that. I have cut them back pretty brutally. There are lots of new fiddleheads on there, so it will. You can see on this one how many new fiddleheads there are. It'll be beautiful very shortly. And this one has a lot too. They're not quite as far along, but loads of new little fronds that are going to be coming out. I need to fill up my bird bath. And I've told you before, this is always my last azalea to bloom, and he still looks good. The one behind him is fading out. Here on the left side, some peonies. That's different varieties of peonies. There's a red one and a pink one and a more white one. Peony. Spiderwort. More peonies. The deeper pink and the one that's white with little red stripes on it. Really pretty one. It's my hydrangea. It's starting to set some flowers. You can see that starting to come on, and he'll have lots of blooms on him. And there are the roses. Now it looks pretty bad back here in this corner because my husband is starting a project. This is the Carolina allspice, and you can see the buds on it. The flowers on it last quite some time. They're dark, so they don't really pop, but they really are pretty. This is a pretty little shade garden spot with the hostas and the fern and the vinca. And the hardy begonia will bloom later on. And the Virginia sweet spire. Back towards the front of the house. Maybe I'll back up a little bit. There's our ancient tree that dwarfs our house. And this is the most valiant rose. It has beautiful blossoms that I showed you a couple weeks ago, and it has very few leaves on it, but it has lots and lots of blossoms. And it does not get much sun. I do not know how it manages to make so many blossoms, but good rose. And the hostas. There's a close-up of the type of rose on the bush. It's a really pretty one. And here's my astilbe that we're gonna be planting in this corner as soon as the daffodils start losing their leaves. They're starting to turn a little bit, but we're going to give them a little more time, then we'll plant the astilbe. But here's the corner. Looks like we just moved in. We have moved everything out from behind there so my husband can work on the new pathway. But here are the yellow irises. Told you those were going to bloom. It's a pretty view from this angle. You can see the ferns and the irises. That's the azalea that it's pretty well spent. Up in the upper left there's still some blooms on it. The rest of them are kind of floppy looking. And this is the hydrangea that's been told you will either bloom or you will come out. He's not setting any buds, so I guess I didn't frighten him enough. There's the pottery graveyard. Some light colored coleus, which I think that chartreuse color looks pretty in the garden. Ferns and hostas, and there's a clematis climbing on the trellis there, and hopefully that rhododendron will bloom for us. And here's where my husband's been working. The wheelbarrow has a bunch of kudzu and other annoying things that we've dug out, but hopefully we'll be able to get this paved and a gate put up within the next month or so, so we can hide all of our lovely things like trash containers. There's coleus in a window box. So lots of mess happening here. So not everything looks perfect and beautiful all the time. Now, this is very much a bed that dies back completely. So in the wintertime, this is just perfectly plain. I need to put in some ferns maybe that will stay green. So I have a little bit of ivy, a little bit of vinca that'll stay green during the winter. Everything else completely dies back. A lot of hostas in here and some sedums, violets, kind of a weed. But I need to add something that will stay green. Maybe I'll add a boxwood, I don't know. But one of the things I like to do is in my pots to do the potted boxwood. Stays green and all winter long, so that's very nice and attractive. There is our garden tour from our Zone 7B Northern Virginia garden in, I think today is May the 9th. So I hope you enjoyed that. Give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed the tour. Thanks. See you next time.